Many thanks for joining us on the Made in Wow Africa Incorporated TV show. My name is Ifi Arono Kafo, and it's so good to know that you're watching us from different parts of the world. Now, today, whenever you hear wow, actually, I'm sure you think women, you think children, you think vulnerable groups. But we'll have a topic for today that we'll be discussing with Women of Wow Africa. And today, our focus is on child abuse and how we can checkmate this menace that has bedeviled not just Africa, but of course different parts of the world in different forms. So this morning I'm joined by women rights advocate Mrs. Nkemu Madi, who is also the PRO and personal assistant to the executive director Wow Africa Incorporated. Changemaker, good to have you this morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Thank you. And we're also joined by someone who is in the legal sphere, also championing the cause for human rights. She is also the social director, Wow Africa Incorporated. Dr. Helen Obi Esquire.
Good morning, my dear.
No.
Thank you and happy listening.
Okay, for the purpose of this program, definitely we would be navigating from English, Aswo Igbo, Awalitu in Igbo, Makande Bai, so that everybody can follow the conversation as we go along. So today we're talking about child abuse. And before we go into the topic, there are facts from UNICEF, because when you talk children on the global sphere, you're talking about the United Nations and by extension, UNICEF. And then we look at the fact that UNICEF has done lots of research in this regard. So we will be factual. But then there have been researches even in Nigeria and in the rest of Africa and other parts of the world. Now, the fact that abuse is a daily reality is what we must know, that even now, somebody is being abused. But then, I think we should start from knowing what Wow Africa actually does before we delve into the topic. For those who are hearing Wow for the first time, Mrs. Nkemuma, the Kolakene line, Kedundibo Wow.
Okay, wow, it's Worldwide Organization for Women Africa Incorporated. It started from Beijing in 1995. Okay. It's after a representative with JC, the Beijing attend for Nigeria, decided to do something in Nigeria, which was founded in 1996. So I'm just going to go to our mission statement. Why? It's an initiative for women of Africa to tell their story, confidently projecting their voices, building strong family, and enabling platform for voiceless of the rural solidarity to developing communities, specific solution to issues. Our programs are geared towards eliminating the elimination effort of objective poverty, obstructive cultural restriction, gender-based discrimination that affects the rights and life of women and children in Africa.
Okay.
So I can go further to we have our main objectives as well.
Mm-hmm.
Our main objective, and we have quite a few of them, is to work with and then for marginalized women, let me start again, work with and for marginalized women and girls towards increased recognition and inclusive in all aspects of society on issues such as education, health, welfare, well-being, employment, and objectification through resilience building, training, awareness, raising resources, creations, and maintaining an inclusive agenda. Just that one. And we have another one, to maintain a dialogue, direct or indirectly, between women and men in the society by highlighting the concerns, the issues which affect women's life and livelihood.
Okay.
Then to raise funds for support, develop projects and activities which enhance engenders well-being, and then the inclusion of women and girls from all walks of life. to engage in charitable activities, events including but not limited to education, medical, healthcare, environment, culture, and technology, to encourage and promote the exchange of idea and information to enhance understanding between women and community leaders through cooperative coordination, consultation of all community stakeholders, strengthen the welfare and well-being of women and girls child in our society. These are the basic things we do.
Ma ndị ọzọ sị,
Ma
onwe
ndị
ka ị
ọzọ.
ga-esi gbalịtụ elu Igbo maka ndị na-ege anyị na-anara anụ sọpụrụ sọpụrụ.
Otu e ga-esi gwa anyị Igbo bụ na ife anyị na-eme ọ bụrụ sọsọ maka ụmụ anyị, ọ maka famili ndị na-enwere ọnụ okwu, ndị na-enwere aka lufa, no like ndị na-enwere ka ha nwee as poverty, ogbenye. So anyị na-alụ ya ka anyị nyere ha aka ka ọ na-anụ unu bụ otu anyị ga-esikwa wee try to empower them, nye ha ego ma ọ bụrụ na ọrụ ego, nye ha skill, kụziere fa, ọ bụrụ na onye na-ere akara, ọ bụrụ na onye na-akwa akwa, ọ bụrụ na onye chọrọ ịgụ akwụkwọ, ịmago things fa ga na-eme ka fa wee pụta na ụdị ajọ ọnọdụ ahụ fa nọ, ajọ ọnọdụ na mmadụ amanye nwa onwe ya nri ma akwụkwọ ụgwọ ụlọ ma clothe themselves. So ife a bụ ife anyị nwa na-eme ka anyị nyere ndị be anyị aka, ụmụ anyị ga na ọbụna di m ụmụazị na-enwere ọnụ. So ahụ bụ ọnụ ndị na-enwere ọnụ. I say it's all ndị na-enwere ọnụ. So we are working, anyị na-alụ ọrụ with ndị communities. Anyị anọrọ sọsọ na-asụ Igbo na town. Anyị nwere grassroots coordinators ndị arụrụ anyị ọrụ na-adị eweta ndị ife na-esiri ike, ma ndị nwere ọrụ si ma ndị nwere ọrụ si uche ofu onye otu anyị nọkwa ebe a na-akọwala ndị need help, ma ndị nwetasịgo ọrụ na-enwere ego fa ga-eji wee bido. Anyị na-achọta ego help ọfa. So like nke anyị na-eme n'ụtụtụ a, ndị ofesi na-enenye by his grace na anyị nwere ike ịnwetakwa few things anyị ya n'ife ọbụla enyere anyị na-elu ndị ahụ asị anyị nye. So this is the things anyị na-ekwa ha medical, anyị na-emekwa maka nsị ala na ọga, anyị mechara ya mbọsị a. So o nwere lot na-ejekwa na schools na-afụ ụmụazị, anyị na ha akwado debate ma akụzikwala ụmụazị akwụkwọ. Ụmụazị asị na village ka ha na-emepe, ọ bụrụ imepe anya na ajụ ka ha matụkwa ihe ndị ọzọ ma. So anyị na a group of those things ife anyị na-eme. Anyị nwekwa ndị ọkaikpe nọkwa ebe as well, ndị gụrụ oke akwụkwọ ahụ ma ihe niile gbasara ụmụazị. Ọ ya bụ onwe ihe na-eme gị, akpọọ ha, ajụọ ha pụtakwuo onye otu o si wee dị. These are the things, but ọ kwụsịbụrụ o nwegoro ike nke anyị etinyerọ, anyị ga-anụkwa tasị ihe na-emesi mmadụ ike, akpọọ ya lọya anyị, onye ọkaikpe anyị nọkwa as well na-emela ihe ndị a. Thank you so much.
Barrister Helen, ị nwere ike ịgwa anyị gbasara the legal aspect nke ọkaikpe ahụ, kedu ka WOW si enyela aka?
Okay, thank you very much. WOW have been very instrumental to safeguarding the rights of the girl child, in the sense that when we get a victim, oftentimes we follow it up to a conclusive end. When a child is in distress, or when a child is defied, or whether issue of rape, we've had all these cases whereby the child is given succor, and eventually restored to their parents. WOW had been instrumental in creating a safe space for children. Yes, creating a safe space for children. In the sense that we advocate security and protection of children. Every time we go for school advocacy, we talk to the heads of the administration about the welfare and the interests of the children, ensuring that the welfare of the girl child and the security of the environment where they found themselves. We also speak to the children concerning their welfare and security as per anywhere they go, and the need for them to speak out when they come in contact with, when they become a victim of some of these negative circumstances like rape or maltreatment or any kind of violence, even in their home, because domestic violence is actually one of the greatest problems we have that affects our children. So these children are taught to speak out. And we too, on our own, we have sometimes given financial help through our directors They had given financial help and other material support to many indigent children and families.
Okay.
So far, wow, we see very well.
Okay, in that regard. Please remember that we are still talking about ways of checkmating child abuse specifically. Of course, we'll talk about other forms of abuses in later series, but for the purpose of this present program, Oblin and I, if you're watching, we expect you to also add your voice. What do you think can be done? Look around you. Are there children you find who should have better lives? In what way can we ensure that that happens for that child around you who does not even have anybody looking out for them? You can drop that in the comment section of our live stream that is going on right now on the Light TV Show Facebook page. Now, let's talk about the concept of a child. I can afford when you talk about you. So, in the sense of what it should be, how does Wow Africa conceptualize child?
Well, a child, it's any person or persons under the age of 18.
Okay.
That's what is called a child.
Mhm.
And this, when you're a child, you still live with your parents. You're still in high school. You've not gotten anything, a job, and all that. So that's your responsibility. You're still living home. Your parents look after you. And then, like a juvenile, that's what is called a juvenile. So you need attention. You need proper care at all times. So that's what is a child. But before I go further, we're talking about abuse. Abuse in the zone book, I will talk about the general abuse because it's
Can I actually add
On
something
the
to
child.
the issue of who is a child?
Okay.
Generally and legally in Nigerian context, which we found ourselves, even within Africa. You see, our law actually had provision that a child who is a person that has not reached the age of 18.
Mhm.
And,
Like she said.
yes, like she said. I'm just trying to back it up by legal provisions
Yes.
for people to know that we are not just saying that a child is a person who has not reached the age of 18, but legally within Nigerian context, that a child is a person who has not reached the Child Convention, Convention on the Rights of a Child, which is worldwide. This made provision that a child is a person who has not reached the age of 18. Even the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child of 1999 made provision also that a child is any person that has not reached the age of 18. Even our Anambra State law, yes, the Anambra State Child Rights Law of Anambra State of 2004, we also said that within Anambra State, that a child is a person who has not reached the age of 18 years.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You can take it up from where you left it about abuse.
abuse in general terms is unfair treatment.
Unfair.
It's cruelty and violence. And it's a improper way of treating or usage or treatment of anything or person. And it's a proper way of even having a game, using somebody to have a game. That's abuse. And abuse can be in many forms as well. It can be such as a physical abuse, it could be verbal, it could be maltreatment, it could be an injury, it could be assault, it could be violations, in what forms, it could be rape, it could be unjust practice and crimes of any type, which crimes of aggression. So even at homes, when you call your child names, belittle them, prevent them from going to school, prevent them to having the basic things of life, that's abuse. But this abuse is not just kids as well. It can even go to a married woman living with her husband. It can even go to the husband being in the house when his wife does not do the natural things, the moral things he needs to do for them. So, but in context, we have the three main ones that we talk about all the time, which is the physical, and the physical can be both sexual and other things. Then we have it is the verbal, emotional one, emotional trauma. There's a mental and psychological, and then there is the the cultural, we have the cultural and identity abuse as well, which is the thing that is happening a lot in Anambra State. Because when I talk outside, I'll talk about Anambra State, the right, charity exam, the right of women na betifa or a girl child, you know. Like the audience, we don't want to just say not also my kind of general thing of abuse. So it can also go as when you intimidate people. Intimidation, bullying in school is abuse, ridiculing someone, harassing them, treating an adult as a child.
Okay.
Yeah. Then people with physical disability, using their situation or the way they are to talk to them, you know, that's a serious abuse, it's crime against people living with disability. Isolating an adult as well. When Down syndrome, you could have learning difficulties. So if you helping, I understand Nigeria having got a lot of this way to keep them what to do. It's still an abuse because it's a precious gift from God to you. And then friends and family as well. Uses of silence. Sort of abuse. Really, it's emotional, it's trauma. When you get a mad where I get it, some people could get depression from that. Yielding, swearing can result to mental stress. And mental stress is even more difficult and worse than the physical. Because when they talk about physical and in African, and they talk about physical now, it's like you forget. But like for instance, if your child is not doing well in school and you keep on calling them Olodo, Onuku, and all that, it lives with this child and it goes down to their self-esteem, self-worth. You're bringing their self-worth down. So those are the basic ones. Then the rape issues as well. The human trafficking where people will use their children. The hawking is abuse when you're underage, when you're a teenager, when you're still a teenager under 18. Going to get someone's house to be a house girl, it's abuse. So all those things gathered together, because when I but the one when you see physical injury, so those are the things it's happening in our society as we speak.
Okay.
Thank you.
Add that actually she has talked about what an abuse is all about. It has to do with an act or omission. When she has actually addressed the issue of the acts, which are the ones we see, but there's this omission. This omission oftentimes we regard it as a neglect. So that's why we often talk about child abuse and neglect. So I want to address the issue of the neglect. You see, the neglect is when a person who is in a position to care, for instance, a child, you deny the child most of the essentials or the basic necessities of life, like education. When you don't send your child to school, you've neglected the rights of the child to education. Medically, when children are sick, they are supposed to receive medical care. Sometimes we don't bother taking our children to hospital when they are sick, so oftentimes we have the issue of deaths.
Also, borderline abuse.
Yes,
when you don't take your child to
hospital,
really?
You don't care for the health of your child. That's a big neglect, and that might lead to death. What else can be an abuse when a child is left to die? That's a serious abuse. That's just the ultimate. So oftentimes too, we, especially parents, economically we fail to provide the children with the basic necessities, like the food in the house. You see, you find that the child is quite malnourished, and you could see the stunted growth in the child. And you find out that basically all the child is affected in all ramifications. This stunted growth and the development may not be well as to accommodate what the child should actually be. When the child is of school age, you find out that the brain has not developed because that child has not been provided with the necessities which the child actually requires to grow to become a very reasonable human being. So there are a lot of denials. If you go to Nigeria today, in Northwest and Northeast, we discovered that about 37% of the girls do not go to school. See, in the North, most girls do not go to school. They allow more of the boys to go to school. The girls do not go to school. This is covered in northeast and the northwest part of Nigeria. And these are neglect, these are denial. So there are a lot of neglect which the government also are involved in neglect. You see, when the schools are closed, teachers go on strike for one issue or the other. Schools are closed for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or more. That's we've neglected our education, and that has actually led to the low standard of education which we acquire in this country. So all these are neglected, and so all hands actually needs to be on deck to ensure that some of these neglects are curbed.
Thank you so much. In case you're just joining us, this is still Wow Africa, a show here, and we have the distinguished ladies, Mrs. Nkemoma Adi, and as well Dr. Helen Obi, doing justice to the topic. At some point, we'll also talk about disability rights as well, which is also key to finding a way, the path forward. But now, Boris, there's something you said about not taking a child to the hospital. You know, there's some things you said, aspects that I never thought about. I'm on London and I knew this is even the first time, you know, they're hearing such. When it comes to punishment, punitive measures, now mother abuse or so, it's usually when it's physical or when we can actually. So these other forms of abuse, now and it's not done. Does anybody ever take the fall?
Yeah, sure. Is you see, the child is a member of the society. You see, all of us will actually take the blame.
No.
You see, there is a woman I know, she's called Children Mupo in my community. Once it is 8 o'clock, she uses her bike to move around the community. Any child she found selling or hawking, she arrests that child. She will arrest that child and found the parents and to know why that child is not at school.
Wow.
So it is a communal effort to ensure that our children, when they are of school age, they should acquire the basic education. It's even one of our fundamental laws that free education, free primary education is a law in Nigeria that every child should be able to acquire free primary education. So when a child is of primary school age and the child is found in the street walking, you as an adult, it calls for worry. Why is this child not in school? Hawking and selling akara or pure water, you know, the roadside when actually it is time when that child should be at school. It's cause for worry. Because this in the long run or in the short run, these are the people that constitute nuisance in our society. And you can never know who will be the victim when the time comes. So all hands actually need to be on deck. It is a concern of everybody within the society, not just the parents alone, to ensure that a child actually goes to school. And the issue of health too, like you talked about, when a child is sick, that child, that's why we have primary care centers in various local governments within Anambra State. A child who is sick should be taken to hospital. And the child should be given all the immunization. You see, some parts of Nigeria, people do not go for this polio. They don't take this polio injection.
Just yesterday, my mom mentioned this. No one that there.
Yes, no one that there. You know, for saying now, I got one more fine family. Even when it is free, people will develop a concept. You see, we'll have this concept, attitude of developing a concept to shadow what actually is a truth that will bring out realities in life. We will bring out a concept that will shadow it. That's an attitude we have. And that attitude we need to change. Because actually, this social attitude we need to do, because actually it is hampering our society and leading to not we developing the way we are supposed to develop. Nigeria, we ought to develop. We need to
faster.
Grow. Exactly.
No, back
Can I
to
just say something again?
Yes.
I think I'll talk about Anambra. There should be a mandatory law. And that mandatory law, like other countries, is everybody involved, both the social workers that we have, the school, the church, the community. You know, everyone, even you on the street, when you see a child, should have a say on the child. You should have a say on and every child, because the children belongs to the community. So yes, that's it. So you mustn't wait. But I suppose ebe a ga-asị na a ga-akpọrọsọ woman development center or something. O nwere ebe a ga-asị like abroad, you have children home. You have children home where na because in as con this abuse, na nne gị na nna gị nwere aka. Obuchakwara na abuse. Government Anambra may whenever you find this kind of children. I know the commissioner and the commissioner of women development is doing that, but it should be an agency of itself that is dealing with children by trafficking and all that, and treat them on one-on-one cases as they come to you. So that's my contribution.
Okay, so holding a parent already means enough sensitization. He might be having
correct.
Correct.
Okay, like for instance, she talks about all these vaccines. It's only when I came to Anambra State I noticed a lot of people are having hepatitis vaccines. We just say any poison, acid, this worst illness is slow killer.
Yes, very infectious.
Very infectious. It's HIV. I'm not a doctor, but I know HIV virus lasts a day, but the virus for this hepatitis takes a month. So and people just say no, it's not true. Then they're poison. It's not true. I'm not God but anything. But when I started doing my own personal survey, they don't even know what it is, and the vaccines has to be taken. Okay, let's come to the COVID-19 that is happening now. A lot of people have been confused. In 2 years, I know when I went to do my close friend told me not to do. But now in America, I don't know what it is. People that are dying for it can't even get the vaccines and they will die. I got a reliable source from California about that. So we this community thing, no. Now,
the attitude you talked about.
Yes,
we'll use this opportunity actually to tell our people the need for them to go for COVID-19 vaccine.
Yes, correct.
But we should not neglect it. We should not neglect it. We should really go for COVID-19.
I have gone for it.
I've gone, I've had my first jab, I've had the second dose, and actually nothing happened to me. So it's good that we should actually disseminate the information through this media for people to actually go for the COVID-19 vaccine immunization.
Immediately. Now, back to Mrs. Omadi. Only if a barrister woman and Chena, as they call women rights advocates, eating on. But some of the fact that child abuse is a ticking time bomb. More on your effect. And it drew my thoughts to the idea of the IDPs that we still have in camps around the country. Where are we going in the next few years? Because I'm on the gas and near the Rebama, Nankewame, Nane gassing them mother. What picture does that paint for you as a concerned Nigerian?
Really, honestly, it's very worrisome because we have the IDPs, and I know provisions are made. I don't have the actual, but I was surprised. I was watching Sana where one of I'm not deviating, with a truck of rice. They refused this time. Now what they need is they want to go back to their homes. They want to children to go to school. They want employment. And I think 2 days back that they don't want to be sitting and begging. All they are doing there is having children. It's going to be a time bomb because really you're having children. There's no training. There's nothing for them. They just get up in the morning and roam around everywhere. So it could be me tomorrow. It could be even when you travel now, you're worried because these children they want to love any kind of home thing for them. They live by the day, and life shouldn't be like that. So it is a time bomb that I don't know if I'll be around when it would happen, but in the next few years we'll be having more of these kids on the road. The thugs, whatever they call them, I don't know whether it's BH. I don't know, but there's going to be so much in the country. So I'm really asking the government to look into that, the federal government. Because the IDP is not so much in Anambra State. It's just these little deprivations and the hotels, which are not
out
Anambra.
Of school children,
And they're not from Anambra. Most of them are not from Anambra. And the federal government should look into that with urgency to try and get these people to go back to their communities and continue farming so they could be able to look after their children. Thank you.
Okay, and now Barrister will come from the point of you can't talk about women and leave out the rest of the family. and with this impression that child abuse affects mostly female children. Gama, is it true?
No, actually, it's not true. Child abuse also affects women generally. And let's get back to, like I've told you about our social norm. Within the society we find ourselves, that this social norm, there is this patriarchal attitude
Yeah.
that a woman is a chattel, she's a movable commodity which anybody can buy, you buy and sell, So the fact that the value of a woman, where we found ourselves, the society where we found ourselves, is compared to nothing. But there are even the concept that a woman has no brain, that the woman has no brain.
Yes.
So we have this low esteem attitude or low value being attributed to a woman. And that is why this is just the genesis, our societal norm. That's why within a home, when a woman is married, she faces all kinds of domestic violence. So she's beaten off what we call wife battery. She's beaten up by the husband. She's denied economically. She's meant to depend on the man, because the man would not want her to do anything. So economically, the man will actually want her to depend solely on him, and so that she won't be empowered. She will not be allowed to do much to earn income to sustain herself, so that she remain a parasite on the man. And talk less of most cultural impediments on the women. For example, when a woman loses her husband, the widowhood practices in our society is quite unordained. You see, she will not be allowed to eat. She's supposed to wail from morning till night. Well, when it comes to inheritance, sure, our women are not allowed to inherit land. For we know, for true and for sure, that land is the anchor of all that is valuable.
Sure.
But within our society, our women are not allowed to hold land. This is very discriminatory. And women we are highly discriminated against. This is as against the fundamental law of our country, the section 42 of the Nigerian Constitution, that said nobody should be discriminated against by virtue of the nature of your birth, by your religion, and other circumstances. But men were being discriminated against. Look at that. So we go through hell because we are women. You see, even in the offices, women are being discriminated. There are positions you are not supposed to get to. Such positions are left for the organs at the top, and women are not allowed to get to that level. So in summary, within our society, women suffer a lot of violence. We are being discriminated against. We are being maltreated. We pass through psychological and emotional trauma in our homes, domestic violence. So women, we are the worst hit when it comes to issue of violence.
As we go ahead, we'll take just a few messages dropped on Facebook so that people can follow us as well. Just so you know, this is statistics from UNICEF. Just over 1 in 4 girls and women, that's 27% aged between 15 and 49 years, have undergone female genital mutilation, cutting.
Yeah.
That's for us to also put that in perspective. We may not have the time to go to every form of abuse. Then we also have the issue of child brides.
Nigeria has the largest child bride in Africa.
According to UNICEF, actually has that stat. I say now we have 23 million girls and women who were married as children, most of them from poor and rural communities. On a it happens even close to us as well. So these are some facts you should also know. Now let's talk about another legal form of abuse before I will take a short break and then we'll take messages. The idea of birth registration. Yes, when a child is born, and of course, sometimes people don't even bother to go to the hospital, and the child doesn't even get registered. That means that the social welfare scheme is as though you're excluding the child even from the cradle. In Kano, it's abuse.
Yeah, well, it is a kind of neglect, yes, it's an abuse. When a child is born, that child ought to be registered.
Okay.
Yes, because when the child is of school age, it helps to know actually when the child was born and what level the child is when it comes to trying to grade the level of that child. But this is a country where we don't give statistics. Statistics do not matter much because it's a country where statistics matter a lot. You should know when a child is born, what age or what level of whether crèche, primary, the age level that child is supposed to be in terms of going to school. So statistics, child birth registration is not well organized and not well followed up in Nigeria. We are careless about it. That's a neglect and it is a kind of abuse. So there is need for us to package the issue of child birth registration in Nigeria. Yes, this is one of the areas we are trying to bring innovation in family law, and it is very much on now registration of child birth. It helps us to determine, it helps in policy making, to know the number of children, to know the kind of provision government can make for the number of children. So it helps in decision making. So child registration is very paramount in our society. Failure to do that is a serious neglect.
Okay, this is a developing country, so it's not like other countries where registration is important for you to get work, hospitals and medicals and all because it's all free and you get your national insurance. And I mean, a good thing, we are really trying with the BVN stuff, with the ID card, national ID card, people are learning more, but the issue is that not illiteracy, awareness. People are not aware.
Yeah.
Before the legal backing and all that comes forth, we need to go back to the grassroots, to the communities, to the church, markets, telling the market, the women, not market women, the women, the community, the need. Now, if your child does not have a national ID at a certain age, you can't do WAEC. You can't do so. It's
even
a
jam,
exactly. You couldn't
register.
even enroll for anything.
Yes.
With the national voters card, the way they are rushing it now. When I went to my dressmaker and all, so everybody's knowing the importance. But before we wait on them, we need to go back to our communities. You can do it, I can do it, doctor can do it, every other person. Now, I say, if you don't have this, you won't do this. I just told again, if you don't have your national ID voters card, you might not get to university. So it's a turmoil for our government. So we need to do more. And then the media. I'm always talking about the media. People are my friends, but you need to do more. You need to enlighten people because most of us don't even have electricity in Nigeria. Most of us cannot afford the is it iPhone or digital Android phones, the radio. When you have this, you want the internet. So that like we work for grassroots radio. If we have to get the tank criers to continue, which we are doing now for the voters register in my community. I've gotten tank criers, the local tank criers to talk to women both in the church, the villages, and the market. So this is the same way I get squad name go dear. Till now, ndị ọkaikpe ndị ọkammụta ewepụtazie the laws and all that. So thank you so much.
Daalụ. Chetakwa na n'ọwa Africa show ka anyị na-eme. Ọ bụrụ na ị gaa na The Light TV show Facebook page, ị ga-etinyewula anyị ozi gị ka anyị gụpụta ya maka na anyị ncha niile bụkwa n'obodo dị mma. In just a few minutes, we'll be welcoming someone to also join up the conversation for a short time. This is still Wow Africa show on TV and, of course, on the internet if you're watching us live right now.